All right, what if I told you that Jonathan Mingo was catching passes yesterday in the in your practice and looking good doing it?
Sounds like a good candidate for 2025 Mr. Oxnard.
Well, I'd say I know you definitely weren't at practice then. If that was the case.
Oh, that's the
Who told you that?
I got the verb. No, I actually heard this.
About 3 of 8.
I heard
three of
this.
them?
I heard this. Mingo and Paris Campbell were catching passes in this. Yeah.
Were they forgetting about Paris Campbell?
Cropper?
Yeah, I forget about him too.
Cropper, Mingo, Campbell.
I heard Cropper had Nick Harris was letting me know about Cropper. So was Mingo doing this with Dak or was he working with Milton?
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah. So to me, I was expecting, the old George Pickens talk, Tolbert.
Yeah.
Now let's see what's going on with, Lamb but the most productive receivers that I heard at practice were Mingo. Well, actually, Cropper, Mingo, and Campbell were the three most productive during the practice. So,
well, I mean, you don't need somebody to emerge big time, but if you could get good production and upgrade at spots 3 and 4, that would be tremendous. Paris Campbell, he had like a 700-yard season. What happened to this dude? Last 2 years, he just fell off a cliff. Last year, 6 catches.
Yeah.
Wow, but with the Colts, he had 63 for 623 in 2022.
It's a big play
That'd
threat
be
coming out of
amazing right
Ohio
now.
State, man.
Big threat there. Actually, are you guys surprised that they immediately plugged in Guyton at left tackle?
I'm not, Brian, and I almost mentioned this to you at the break, but Fred interrupted me. Okay, so last night I watched all of the Dak picks several times, right?
Okay.
I'm like, what happened in 2024 with these picks?
Because you were talking about if you don't have a left tackle, there's problems.
The picks are going to go up.
Okay, there you go.
I still do believe that. When Tyron Smith played, Dak had some great years when he was out. Inconsistencies reigned. But what I saw is in 6 of the picks, it was all clog and cover caused. There was very little pressure on Dak. One of them was clearly a Guyton pressure, and one of them was kind of like a half pressure. And in all the other plays, I mean, he's doing well. I think if you could get Guyton's athleticism involved in the run game and the penalties cleaned up, maybe a sufficient starter.
Yeah, I remember, going back when the old 22 would get posted and thinking to myself, like, okay, Guyton had a terrible game. And then you watched him. It was like, not as bad as I thought it was. Like, there's definitely a lot to work with there. Not surprised because you just don't have, like, another option 100% that you're going to, like, what is it going to be? Awesome Richards? Is that who you're going to start there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Instead?
Yeah.
So, not surprised. I think he's going to have to play himself out of the starting role. I think the starting spot is his.
And I hope for the best for that kid. I don't think he'll ever be strong. I don't think he'll ever be a powerful player. I think Dawson, you got him right. I think he's going to be a guy that's always going to be a pretty good athlete, and that's how he's going to have to win. He's going to have to win with length, athletic ability, staying in position, getting penalties, getting experience that way. I just don't ever see him being a powerful guy. I think if we're asking him to go get stronger and all that, he's going to have to be one of those guys, Wolchuk, that I always get wrong in the draft.
Sure.
The guy always
Colton Miller.
The guy I always get wrong. I always say, this guy's got to get stronger if he wants to. And then that guy plays 10, 12 years.
But with his size, it is amazing just how, like, his upper body.
How lean he is.
It doesn't look strong.
Yeah. Not surprised at all with Tyler Booker. I was worried about that one going in, but immediately plugged in there at right guard.
Yeah, initially, like, when you and Voch were even talking about that, I'm thinking, like, why? Like, why is this a conversation? But it is, like, the last two, like, they weren't given starting reps. Even Tyler Smith, first OTAs, was not given number 1 reps. He had to eventually
that drives me effing nuts when that happens.
But I guess maybe, like, those were guys taken lower in the back half of the first round. You're taking a guy 12th overall. He better be the plug and play guy.
You don't have to worry with Booker that he's going to get entitled if you hand him the job. I think that's why you could feel confident giving it to Booker.
Yeah.
He's going to work hard with great enthusiasm. You also want him to emerge as a leader, so you need to give him status.
Let me ask you guys this. I think they're going to carry 3 running backs. Just my thoughts looking at the roster the way it is. I think they're going to carry the 3 running backs, but if they want to carry, could Hunter Lipke's spot be taken by a 4th tight end?
Yeah, it could be, especially if John Stevens ends up being healthy this time around.
And that's Lipke's spot, not Maffa's?
Well, what I'm looking at is I think I got to carry 3 running backs, and then Hunter Lipke's kind of my fullback and my H. I think Hunter Lipke's spot, and I don't think Hunter Lipke has a sponsor here anymore.
Yeah, McCarthy loved him.
Yeah, and so my thought is, if all of a sudden, say that Williams, Blue, and Sanders do look good, and you want to keep Maffa, I think Hunter Lipke might be out it that way, but I think that Lipke, Maffa might be in competition, or Sanders with a spot for whoever if they want to keep 4 tight ends.
So your 4 tight ends would be Ferguson, Schoonmaker, Spanford,
and we'll see what happens with Fairweather,
Auburn.
who they really like from Auburn. John Stevens, can he stay healthy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they really liked Fant. Fant was kind of one of these guys that was kind of like
and Fant can be a fullback.
He could be the
They lined him
fullback.
up there.
I just wonder if that position, as I'm looking at it, I think that if they want to carry an extra tight end, I think the position they'll poach from is running back, is where I'm at right there. I was hearing a bit about with Joe Milton a little bit, just a little scouting report on him. Just a little bit indecisive at times throwing the football.
Okay, yeah.
And it just was happening a little faster for him than maybe what he was dealing with probably in New England.
When he sees it, can he throw it where he wants it to go?
His arm talent is, there's no question about the arm talent.
Yeah.
The questions are going to be, though, and like I say, is he making the right decision? But I think a lot of it has to do with maybe having to catch up here.
Okay, scheme related indecision.
I think this is more scheme related than anything right there.
I mean, it would make sense that a guy with that build, with that arm, the limiting factor is the decision making, and you basically have to be a savant to ace the test in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's only a few guys in the entire world that are genetically capable of doing this.
Mentioned Elam playing well. A rookie that showed up on defense here, my final thought here is Shamar James showed up. And Zach, we were talking about him as maybe being a guy that's going to be more of a blitzer and not a cover guy. But for him to get the INT,
It's great news.
yesterday, I thought that was a good sign that if right off the jump, if he's starting to put himself in position where he's making plays, not, because I was worried about him being a cover guy. But if he's already showing that, like, maybe he can actually do some cover things. I thought the best was to play him at will linebacker and let him run.
Right,
Let him
agreed.
run to the football. But if he's showing the ability to play in coverage, and he got an interception off Joe Milton just by positioning and where he needed to be, I think that's a really, really good start for a guy that like I said, will linebacker, let him rush, keep him free, let him run to the football.
Didn't he play on the basketball team too? He probably got some pretty good feet for staying in front of guys.
He's a very quick guy. You could see, but Zach's right. He's more of a downhill player, but I just worried about his awareness, the instincts.
Yeah,
that was a
that
big
was my
problem.
biggest question.
But if he's already just in day one showing his ability to be in the lane and maybe get an interception or two, that's actually a good sign for a kid that he's going to need this linebacker room. They're going to need somebody. They're going to need some.
It's so much better than it was a year ago, though.
No,
I mean,
there's no
night and
question
day
about
difference.
that. No question about that.